maybe I'll make an extended version of this. So, I just commented that guys my age have lived through a lot, right? And it's just true because we lived through such a momentous time in history. And if you wanted to find anything more momentous, actually, you'd have to look at right now because of what young people are going through with the internet. It's more than I lived through. But the thing is that people of my generation have seen the start of the internet generation, and also were connected directly to the silent generation, which is my parents' generation, sometimes called the Great Generation. They're called the silent generation because as children they're expected to remain silent. And I remember this. Children are to be seen and not heard. That's how I was brought up. Not really. I was treated that way by my grandmother. And as much as I dislike her, there were certain things about her age that I appreciated. Not exactly that at all, but I do appreciate that that you were expected to show respect to your elders. Like really, right? There were just great things about them, and so a person of my generation has seen so much, right? And then, okay, so if you wanted to sort of like get personal, like from my point of view, the place I would find people that I think have a similar upbringing to me or whatever, life experience, I would have to look at soft white underbelly. Now, those are people that have lived through some stuff. You can't. I wouldn't bother to compare myself to them. They're white, black, they're everything, right? I wouldn't bother to compare myself to them exactly. Um, Everybody has their unique thing, right? Um, so, for example, okay, so if I wanted to, say, oh my God, am I ever so fantastic, right? Let's just make my own case. Okay, so standing right here, where I'm standing right now, unless we're studying movies, I'd be standing right there. For some odd reason, I think people like to stand here, so I would stand there. What? Who cares, right? I think it's that's sort of funny. Okay, I just go from the most outrageous thing to the most profound. They'd be so mixed up you won't believe this. Okay, so standing right here, I met a guy who was the head of a cardiology department in one of the best hospitals in the city. And what he did is he lived through the SARS epidemic, and he realized that as a doctor he could die. And so what he decided to do was to study law at New York University, and somehow through the grapevine, because for I don't know how many years it was, I was connected through probably one of the best medical universities in Taiwan. But people would say, if you say uh, whatever it's called, that university, yeah, of course that's the best university in the country. I don't know if the medical department was particularly distinguished or not, but I mean, you say, oh, you're teaching a doctor from there. Hmm. And that's where I was getting all my students. They were students of that university originally. So, but you would just go from bing to boom to bang, and so I'm standing right. I stood right on the spot, actually, right there, and I met a man who was head of a cardiology department, decided to study law at New York, whatever, Harvard, I think it was, and had heard about studying English through me, or with me, from somebody, and came here. And I'm just going to tell you the honest truth, okay? He came here with his wife, and I mean, just the experiences, right? So, okay, so the most ridiculous thing is that when he came here, I couldn't do anything about the fact that when they showed up, they hiked up 6 floors to meet me, right? And they get here, and there was nobody else here, and I had diarrhea. The place fucking stunk, right? So I'm like wafting this place out of here, trying to get ready for them. Like this door, this actual physical thing, I'm going like that, right? And I don't think it worked. So the first minute they meet me, they're going like, oh, oh. That's just what happened, right? And so my responsibility, my role, what he was hired me to do, was get him into Harvard. And so he said, "Well, okay, I guess I've heard that you're a good teacher, but there's millions of good teachers around, like literally." And so he said, "Well, I got to do a little test." I think this was my idea. So how are you going to prove it? So I said, "Okay, so show me the test that you have to do to get into university." And this is a weird thing, but I taught people how to pass a test that I would have to go to them and say, "Okay, how does the test work? Okay, this is the test. You wanted me to figure out how to pass this test. They'll tell me how the tests work." They told me 15 times how the tests work. I didn't care. Honestly, I didn't care. So he comes to me with the test, and he goes, "Okay, so how are you going to get me through this thing?" So I said, "Okay, bring up 3 tests. And if I can help, what I said was we'll compete. If I can show you that I can do well on the test that I'd never seen or heard about or cared about. I don't like tests. So show me the test. If I can do well on these 3 tests, like better than you." The guy's a certified, genius is weird, but certified high IQ. Everyone I taught here was certified high IQ except one bunch. And they were certified low IQ. Okay, so so we got three things. And the first one was some science thing, right? Like his English obviously was very good. So what are the chances that we're going to, from pretty high level test, we're going to read about science that I'm going to do better than him? Like it's just 0, right? Okay, so we do the test, and I get like 40%, he gets like 95. I mean, it was really bad, right? And I'm going, geez, this isn't working out very well. And this guy's going to pay me too, right? You know, it's a good gig. And so, wow. But I live for this kind of adventure. I think this shit is funny, right? So I don't care that much. And so, so the next one that comes up is linguistics. No. I'm sorry. The next one that comes up is some sort of romantic poetry or something. Like they test you like on everything. So okay, so there's the thing on it was not linguistic. The second one was on who cares? Romantic poetry or something like this. This is something ridiculous, right? So we both do this, and we both do the test, and we're just like, oh my god, like not 40%, but not very good. I did a bit better than him, I guess, but not much, right? And I'm going, okay, I guess, this gig I'm not going to get it, right? At that time, it was pretty easy to find students. So, this one's not going very well. And the next one that came up was linguistics. So I was lucky, right? Not a very hard test, I don't think. Like a university application. University, I don't know, what would be first year linguistics or something. Like, you're not supposed to know it before you're supposed to be able to read it and understand it, right? And so we did these tests. I think he did all right. But in the end, what happened was that I think I got one wrong. I think there was one that I looked at and I just go, that's wrong. And I got the rest just correct by what the book said. And then the last one, the book got it wrong. I used to argue linguistics with fucking really knowledgeable people. I could hold my own. I've forgotten all that. I don't even know why I was interested in that, really. But so I got it all right, and I could at least convince him that the book got it wrong. So who knows? But so that's just one experience, right? So, at some point you can sort of say, yeah, you've had a kind of unique experience, right? That's one of a lot. It's one of the best ones, definitely. Okay, and so his wife was a cancer specialist. And at that time, my idea was to teach people English essentially by arguing with them. Because I had the theory that the highest thing that human beings could do is debate in a way that was without ego. So if you make a point that's correct, I'll accept your point. Not happily, but I'll accept it. And then you accept mine. And then we move forward. So it's just the basic thing, right? What is it? A thesis, an antithesis, and a synthesis. It's just an synthesis, and then move forward, right? But the problem is you can't do that with a Chinese doctor who wants to go into Harvard, because it's all great until you get it right, right? A Chinese person knows everything, and they know a great deal. And what they don't know, they're ashamed of. So you can present this idea, and they can agree, yeah, that's what you should do. But if you actually think you're going to go, okay, so I got this one right, we'll move forward with that, just forget it. Just forget it. Especially not in the beginning of a relationship. So I forget exactly what the thing is, but I'm bored easily. He's bored really easily. And I've set up this thing where we're going to have a peaceful discussion. It turns into a fucking argument, right? And because it's boring, and because whatever. So it chooses really important questions as well. So we're there. And, honestly, almost on the verge of actually physically fighting, I think. I'm at his house. And, I think pretty close. And his wife comes home, and she says, if she hears about what we're arguing about, right? And she says, Jesus, you guys think you've got it tough. I see 100 cancer patients a day, and they're all dying. Oh, like, fuck. If, like, you went like that. And I swear to God, because I tell stories exactly the same way. I remember the very gist of what I said. I said, they're wasting their time and they're dying because you're keeping them alive with your horse shit. All this expensive stuff. You know they're dying. They know they're dying. You should be a man and let them go. I swear to God, I was really mad because I was already mad at him. She comes in. She was a fucking loudmouth, man. She was really a go-getter. And I was just really angry, and I just let her have it. It's what I thought anyway. It's what I do think. And she just said nothing. I don't think she said a thing. And somehow everything wrapped down. I guess I got out of there with my money, I guess. Must have. I went back. And she quit the next day. She quit the next day. And I guess it would have been about 4 years later, I get a phone call from them, and they invite me out just to thank me, right? Of course, we're actually in a way really close, right? You become close if you argue about complicated things with people. Or you go through an experience. You become close even if you don't like each other. I didn't like them at all. Not really. Good to argue with, but anyway. And so they bring me to this restaurant, and I'm standing right beside him. And I don't recognize him because he's so fat and stressed out and fucking defeated looking that I literally don't recognize him. He's standing right beside me, and I don't recognize him. And his wife is there. She's bossing everybody around and all that stuff. And that's just he was slaughtered last time I saw him, and lost a bunch of money in the stock market or something. Really, really bad.